Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Steadfast Men. This is episode number 16, where I interviewed my friend Greg Heibert. He just came on the show, shared a powerful testimony. His testimony ranges anywhere from secret addictions, business, leadership, loss of loved ones, family, discipleship, you name it. Greg's probably been through it. Incredible story. So Greg, thank you for coming on the show. And to everyone that is in the Pittsburgh area, Christ-led communities is something that Greg heads up here in Pittsburgh, a powerful ministry that's really helping disciple men, which I think this country needs. So check out CLC, enjoy the episode, and thank you again for watching. All right, Greg Heibert.
Yes.
Thank you for being on here.
Thank you. I'm really honored. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a chance to meet for the first time here a couple minutes ago. We had a chance to talk and get to know one another a little bit. We have a lot of mutual connections, Danny Parker being one of them, who referred you on this show. Hopefully he comes on this show one time, one of these days. But thank you for being here. I appreciate you spending some time to come on the show. You have an incredible testimony, part of which you sent me already and I got to listen to. And then Danny as well told me just different things you've been through. So we just prayed together, and I think this episode, this testimony of yours is going to be pretty impactful for a lot of men. So first of all, you told me that you live in Beaver County or Harmony.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Harmony or no?
No. I grew up in Bellevue.
Bellevue?
Yeah, I went to Northgate High School.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
It was Bellevue Avalon at the time, and then we merged and became Northgate High School.
Okay. And I also want to preface too, just in the viewers know this, I usually try to do a background, a brief story of your life, and go through different things that you're involved with.
Yeah.
CLC, I believe.
Yeah, Christ-led communities.
Okay,
Yes.
I want to touch on that at the end and just talk about different stuff that you're doing as well in the community. But
Sure.
so you went to Bellevue, not too far away. Did you grow up in a Christian household or what?
We were raised in a traditional Catholic faith.
Okay.
Went to church, got confirmed, and junior year, I just had a falling out with a lot of stuff in my life, and I left the church.
Okay.
It was nothing against Catholicism. As a matter of fact, I attend Catholic church with my wife now.
Okay.
But it was just circumstances in my life growing up that caused me to just seek God in a different way or abandon God, and God led me down a different path.
And your mom and dad were pretty involved in their faith? They were strong Catholics then?
No, that was we had moved to we grew up in Cranberry, and we moved to Bellevue, Northgate, my freshman year.
Okay.
And we were just wondering why. We had a new house in Cranberry and Bellevue. It was a different neighborhood, and we found out my junior year that the reason that we moved there is because my father was having an affair with a lady in Bellevue.
Okay.
And we didn't know.
Yeah.
It was secret and shameful. We had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
But I remember my mother coming in the room just out of the blue. You know, I was the oldest of 5, and she said, your father's leaving us for another woman. And we were like absolutely shocked. You know, it was 5 of us. I was a junior, and it went down, freshman, every 2 years. And then part of my woundedness and story is my mother pointed at me, and she said, it's Greg's fault that I was the cause of the divorce. And I was like absolutely stunned.
Wow. Why'd she say that? I mean, have you ever been able to figure that out?
Years later.
Yeah.
What had happened is at the time she was so hurt and devastated that she needed to blame somebody, and she just took it out on me.
Huh.
But I didn't hear that. I heard I caused the divorce.
Yeah.
I heard I was the problem. And so, yeah, that started a whole spiral of finding faith and losing my faith. But it was that pivotal moment that really rocked me. And I played basketball that year, and we were state finalists.
No way.
Yeah, and then we toured the country of Poland, and then when we came back, my family had moved out, and they left me with my dad, all my siblings. So there again it is, I'm rejected. Now I'm living with my father and another woman who's only a couple years older than me. It was like really, really a hard thing to endure at that point because, what is my identity and who am I?
Yeah.
And but a lot of there's a lot of pain that I carried for years that I didn't know how to deal with because what happened is my identity came. I'm going to prove myself that I am worthy of love. I'm going to show you that I am somebody.
To your dad or to your mom? Like when you say
To
prove,
anybody.
To anybody, yeah.
Yeah, to anybody. But interesting enough, my faith, it took a different turn. I remember when I was in Cranberry, I was on a bus and we used to pass a barn and it said, "Ye must be born again." And I see that every day. And it's like, what the heck does that mean? You must be born again, right? So I'm on a bus one time with a basketball player that he had transferred in from the city, and he was a superstar. But he had this peace about him, and he had a sense of, he was different, and he didn't know why. Always smiling, always being calm. And he was talking to a cheerleader one time, and he said, "You have to be born again." And it was like, it's like, boom, what's that mean? So I turned around and I said, "Hey, Eddie, what are you talking about?" He said, "Come to church with me." So he went to a church called The Way, Truth, and Life, which is the downtown YMCA at the time in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so I went there. And so I went from a traditional Catholic faith to a charismatic black church, singing and dancing and praising God and speaking in tongues and the whole 9 yards. It just shocked me. But I was accepted there, and it was tremendous. And instantly I changed because it was like I knew that Jesus loved me, and it gave me an identity, and so I got really involved with that church at that time.
Sounds like love was part of that church. Am I right? Being that you felt accepted.
Yeah.
They, even though you may have looked different or whatever, but they brought you in.
Yeah, and then I was seeing some signs and miracles and things that I never knew from a traditional faith, and
Right.
I started getting involved. And but unfortunately, there was another side that was also churning in my heart at the same time that really was a conflict.
Which was?
Porn.
Okay.
Around my sophomore, junior year, back then you couldn't, like you can now on your phone.
Yeah.
But I remember, around 12 or 13, seeing a Playboy magazine and then learning about masturbation. So I would continually to do that in secret. It felt good, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And my father and mother never talked to me about sex or anything. This was stuff I had to learn on my own. And as I was growing and the women were starting to really be attractive in high school, it started to grip my heart. Where I would just continually have these fantasies and masturbation and start with some acts of doing some things that I knew was wrong while I'm preaching, and not necessarily preaching, but while I'm worshiping God and accepting His love. And it caused a huge conflict in me.
So kind of like a double life type. Like, do you feel like at that point, when you were going to this new church, that's whenever you, I try to be careful about talking about, like when some people, when they say are born again, let's use born again since you're talking about it. Do you feel like that was at that experience or that time in your life, you were born again at that point, or do you feel like you were still figuring it out?
Oh, no, I knew I had committed my heart to the Lord, but I was still wrapped up in strongholds of sin.
Yeah, okay.
The Romans 7.
Yeah, okay.
But it started to really weigh on my heart, and so my senior year, I ended up going to Geneva College.
Okay.
And so now Geneva is completely different from Catholicism and from charismatic, and
Protestant, yeah.
Yeah, and it was very different, so I was very confused.
They're Presbyterian, I believe, right? Or
Yeah.
no?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
No, and so I went there, and I played the piano also. I play sports and piano. I did very, very well in high school because I was going to prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a Christian band where we would go around, and I was really, I went there because I was going to pursue a business degree because I was going to be a businessman and I was going to own my own business, and I was doing well, but on the side, the addiction just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And, I would just feel so guilty. But then I would present another life that nobody knew about, and which got really bad, as I grew up. And I remember just one time saying, Lord, I can't continue to do this, but I can't stop. Send me a wife. Figured if I get married, then all my needs are met and I don't have to worry about it. So my junior year, my best friend, he played baseball at Robert Morris. I played baseball at Geneva. We decided to go to the drive-in because we didn't want to try to pick up girls that day, so we went to the drive-in, and wouldn't you know that my wife pulls up right beside us.
Really?
And at the time, it was called Star Lake Drive-In, which is right where Northway Christian Campus is now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Up in
Wexford.
Wexford. Yeah.
Yeah.
No way.
So I met her there, and dropped out of school. Our son was born shortly afterwards, and I lived with her grandmother cleaning carpets because we had no money, and now we have a child on the way.
Huh.
And at the time, to make even things worse, she was Catholic, and I was rebelling against Catholic at the time. It's like,
Yeah.
this isn't what I envisioned when you're sending me a wife, Lord.
Yeah.
This is not what I envisioned. And so I dropped out of college and started cleaning carpets with Stanley Steamer Carpet Cleaning.
Which was your mother-in-law's company?
No.
You said. Oh, I thought you said you were living with.
Yeah, but we were just living with her grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Because
sorry,
I wasn't making any money.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I
I was in college and we started to accumulate debt, and
Yeah.
and the divorce of my parents, they had no money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
you're cleaning carpets now.
Yeah.
Newborn baby, new
Yeah.
wife.
yeah, and the addiction didn't go away.
Didn't let up. Yeah.
No.
And that was was that kind of secret from your wife still?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah. Very much so, but it really wasn't prevalent. But it was evident. But I was a good kid, so I'm definitely not going to, maybe fantasy and masturbation, but that's as far as I'm going to go.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But that inner drive in me that I had to prove myself to be successful was really fueling, and that became my mantra. And I started, I after cleaning carpets, I went to Kaufman's, which used to be a department store, carpet cleaning, and that was a national chain all around the country. And I ended up finishing my degree at night.
Okay.
And I rose from a carpet cleaner to an assistant manager, to a manager, to a regional manager, to a senior vice president, all the way up as high as I could get.
Wow.
Yeah, from 1987 to 2001.
Wow. Climbed the ladder and
Yeah.
to vice president of the original
it was
company.
called Adler Services, yeah.
Okay.
We contracted with Kaufman's and Sears and Macy's and Marshall Fields and Hudson Bay in Canada. I eventually ran the entire country of Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So and you're raising. Did you guys have more kids?
Yeah,
Or
we have 3.
you have 3 kids total.
Mm-hmm.
So you're working. You're rising up in the company.
Yeah.
Nobody knows something that you're battling with behind the
Right.
scenes.
Yeah. If you would have, if you had saw me, you'd think he's living a white picket fence life.
Really?
A beautiful wife, kids. Eventually built a dream home.
Really?
Yeah, and just continued to rise up. Just the life of the party. Everybody loves me. Always presenting, how great I am, or look at me. But also giving and serving, because I didn't want anybody to know who I was.
Yeah.
Deep inside. So if you saw me, you would think, man, this guy's got it all. But deep down inside, I was a wreck. I was filled with guilt and shame, and because the behavior that I was doing, and because I started to travel.
Okay, so that made it worse,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. Sorry, I started pursuing the lust of the flesh, the eyes of the life, and pride of life.
Yep.
And you say you're not going to do a certain thing, but then when you cross the line, then you say you're not going to do it, and it just continues to the point where you end up saying, like, how did I get here? But nobody can know.
Yeah.
Because you have to protect your identity, and you have to show people your good side, because I needed to be loved, and I needed to be respected, and I needed people to tell me how great I was. So yeah, it was devastating.
So I'm assuming that in 2001 is whenever things came crumbling down, or what?
No.
2001
was when I purchased Sears Carpet Cleaning.
Okay, wow. So then you were able to then buy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was 39 years old at the time, and
Yeah.
I was making a lot of money for another guy.
Okay.
And I said, I can do this. And that was to finally build a business. So 2001, we purchased Sears Carpet Cleaning.
Okay.
And I took a chance. I was doing very well in my job. I had benefits, car. Took a chance on buying a franchise that had lost $250,000 the year before.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So you took a chance, and then how'd that go with buying the?
The very first
franchise.
day that I bought it, I walk in there, and Sears, the executives come in and they say, "Hey, everybody left." Because it was a corporate store. They thought benefits were gone, and
Yeah.
so that was a pretty nice challenge where you go from
day one.
Yeah, but a lot of people had known me, and I was actually despite all my flaws, I was a pretty good builder and connecting with people and an encourager. Right. And I did have some good characteristics, some leadership skills now that I see that God had given me for what I'm doing now. And eventually we turned it, I turned it around, and both of my sons ended up, I put them through college, and they ended up coming in the business.
Okay.
My goal or dream was to, eventually turn over a legacy to the boys, and continue to live in our dream house and do whatever we wanted.
Yeah. You said you have 3 kids. You have 2 boys and a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now I've got 4 grandkids and,
wow.
and one on the way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you were able to put your kids through college. Everything's rocking and rolling still.
Well, it's rocking and rolling, but I'm a freaking mess.
Yeah, still a mess. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because my day would consist of pleading to God, take this away from me.
Really?
I don't want to do this behavior. I started bargaining with God. I'll give you more money. I'll go to church. The only time I would go to church is when my daughter would sing.
Okay.
Because she's incredibly good. In fact, she's a singer-songwriter now. I'll give you more money. I'll be a better husband. Take this away.
Yeah.
And so what would happen is throughout the day, owning a business is very stressful. Throughout the day, something would happen. Now I know that it's a trigger. At the time, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then I would end up acting out. And then I'd have this horrible guilt and shame. And so my life consisted of trying not to act out, acting out, and making sure I don't get caught. And repeat to
Sounds
the point
exhausting.
it just consumed me.
Yeah.
Looking back now, I have no idea how, because eventually the business became $7 million.
No way.
And I had 100 employees.
Jeez.
I have no idea how I did it. None. But I just hated myself, and I would just look at my wife and kids. How can you do this? What is wrong with you? So I was just racked with incredible shame. Guilt and shame. Now, guilt is you're guilty, but shame tells you are that person.
Yeah.
I'm a bad, unworthy person. Nobody will love me if they really knew who I am.
Yeah.
And that's what I became.
And you weren't really going to church.
No.
You'd only go when your daughter would sing.
Yeah. But my wife stayed steadfast.
Yeah.
And brought the kids up in the Catholic faith. Yeah.
Okay.
She was resolved.
Yeah. Okay. So then when did this progress even further? Like, when did this all end, come to light?
So, my father passed away.
Okay.
And my entire life was to please myself to my father.
Did he stay with that girl?
He ended up with somebody else,
Okay.
too.
All right.
And you know, he was my hero, but also my villain. And he passed away, and he had congestive heart failure. And I remember seeing him in a hospital. I would visit him quite often, and he would have tubes, any breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
And we were talking about sports because the only way that I could relate to my dad was through sports. He was always reveling in my accomplishments, and then even in some of my sons as they started to grow up. And I just so desperately wanted him to hear, "Hey, son, I'm proud of you. I love you." And I never heard that. So on the day he passed, I said, "Hey, Dad, I'll see you tomorrow. Pitt's horrible again," or whatever. You know, the Steelers, they stink.
Yeah.
Well, back then, well, yeah,
time.
probably. But the Pirates, they've stunk forever.
Yeah.
And so I remember, and he called me over, and he said, "Hey, Greg, come here." And he calls me over, and he grabs me by the collar and pulls me down, and he says, "Hey, son, I want to tell you how much I love you and how proud I am of you."
Wow.
And then a couple hours later, he passed. That's the only thing he ever said. But to me, it was too late. To me, it was too late. So at the funeral, of course, I'm going to be the one to speak.
Yeah.
Because I'm the successful guy and I'm the
Always.
life of the party. Well, my sister too, you know, she was like me, but I was the oldest, so I spoke, and it brought tears to everybody. My dad was this, I love my dad, and I'm such a good husband and father, but I was lying through my frickin' teeth. But again, I was presenting myself as something I'm not.
Yeah.
And a couple days later, my middle son, Brad, I think he was 16 at the time. He said, "Hey, Dad, you know what? You might talk a good game, but you're nothing but a." And then he just cursed me out.
A couple of days after.
Yeah.
So did he know?
They didn't know what I did, but I was actually a very bad dad because the only thing that mattered to me was my addiction and getting fueled. And I had no intimacy to give them. I thought if I could give them a nice house, pay for their college, and all of that they would, you know, that's what I'm providing them. That's what a dad does. I had no love. I had no intimacy. I was just like, yeah, and it hit me. And it's like, yeah, okay. He knows. He didn't know the detail, but he knew I was exposed for who I really was. Shortly after that, I got caught in a behavior that this time I can't deny it. Anytime I would get caught, I would lie, and my wife would know, yeah, there's something going on, but I wouldn't tell her because when you're an addict, you're a victim and you just deflect. And her at the time was, well, okay, when Kirsten is a senior, we're done. She sacrificed our marriage for the sake of the kids. So I got caught in a behavior, and what am I going to do? Because now I'm going to be exposed. I'm going to lose my business. I'm going to lose my reputation. People are going to finally know who I really am. I had really no true friends at that time. My friends were making money and progressing and using whatever I could in order to achieve what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I thought, what are my alternatives here? I couldn't stop. God hated me. I was going to hell. Or God didn't exist. Because God take us away, and he didn't.
And you feel like he wasn't answering you, or
Right, yeah. And so I said, okay, well, I'll just kill myself. That way there's a parable in the Bible where the rich man is in hell looking up. Can I tell my brothers or what? And he said, no, that, you know. So I'm in hell, but I'm seeing my funeral of all these people saying, wow, what a great guy. What a loss to society. What a good guy, right? That I was so sick that I was more concerned about my identity than my life. So the day came, and I
sorry, not to pause. That's just such an interesting train of thought, because I've known people that are like that, where it's just they care so much about what other people think, you know.
Yeah.
They care more about kind of the perception or the view or whatever over their eternity of where they're going to go. It's just, It's mind-boggling to me, but
Yeah.
it sounds like that's kind of where you were at. You still
Yeah.
cared so much.
Yeah. And I knew that I was doomed for hell and I couldn't stop. So why? Just have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Just,
And the fun becomes torture.
yeah.
So at that time, I had a very large life insurance policy because of the business. And I think we had built our dream home at that time, too. And so I was going to get drunk. And now I'm not an alcoholic, but when I have booze in me, I have some beer guts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to kill myself. And that way, then it's over and done with. So I got in an isolated country road, and I'm just speeding toward this pole, and at the last second I swerved, and I swerved off the road, and then I'm just sobbing uncontrollably, just sobbing, because I didn't kill myself, but the life I'm now going to have to face, I have no idea on how I'm going to face it. Because I'm going to lose, it's just everything that I thought that was secure is now gone. Mm-hmm. And so I turned on the radio, and it went to Word FM. I didn't even know there were Christian stations. And it said, do you struggle with lust? Do you struggle with masturbation? Is your life over? Are you to a point where your life is just miserable?
Seriously?
On the radio.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Word FM.
Yeah. And it was an advertisement for Every Man's Battle, which is the premier men's purity in the country.
Wow.
So I called them.
That's amazing.
I called them from the car, and I said, and I described myself. I'm trying to kill myself, all the behavior that I was doing. And I said to them, do you think I need help?
Man.
That was in, I think, May of 2004, and they had a 4-day seminar in coming July of 2004 in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And so I signed up, and I went.
Huh.
Yeah.
And you talked to assuming a counselor on the phone.
Yeah.
All right, walk us back through that moment though. You turn on the radio, which is nuts, and that's what they said, but what'd you do after that?
After making a call to them, I signed up. I actually went home, and I told Linda, I said, listen, I'm going away, and if I change and you don't, I'm leaving you. Because when you're an addict, you're a victim, and it's everybody else's fault. That's how sick I was still. And then I made sure that I protected my behavior till July. I still didn't change my behavior. I thought, well...
Or tell anybody? Did anybody know?
No.
So you still kind of kept it a secret?
Yeah, and I indulged in continuing because I figured, well, I might as well get it over with now if I'm not...
Yeah.
And so it's crazy if you think about it. Mm-hmm. At the time I didn't even realize that it was God reaching out to me because I was just so lost. Mm-hmm. I was just so lost, and I just remember the only reason I wanted to go to the Everyman's conference was just to quit, just to be able to stop this behavior so I could move on with my life. Yeah. Give me a magic pill that I can take. All the lust goes away. All the images goes away. And now I'm better. Right. That was my only reason wanting to go there. That was it. So my heart hadn't changed at all. Yeah. I was just given a lifeline.
Yeah. Hold on until July, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you put all your hope in that conference. Or maybe in...
Not necessarily hope. I just thought maybe finally there's an answer to how I can stop.
Okay. So where was the conference then?
I was in a hotel here somewhere out in Moon.
In Moon, okay. Yeah. All right. I've heard. Does this still go on?
Every Man's Battle. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's called New Life Creation.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say I
Steve
feel like
Arterburn and Fred Stucker. They wrote the book.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've met them, and I've actually been on their podcast too.
No way. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you go to the event. Yeah. And then what? Was it like the pill that you wanted?
No. What had happened is I went there thinking, I'm not like these guys, right?
You're not that
I'm a
bad.
businessman. I'm an executive. These guys are whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I went there and I saw me in every one of those guys. Everyone was struggling. We all had the same battle. It manifested itself in different behavior, and there were different consequences. Some guys had sexual diseases. Some guys were going to jail. Some guys were getting divorced. Other guys were just like me. And we sat around, and the guy shared a story, and I thought, oh my God, I'm just like him. See, I thought in my addiction that there was nobody like me, that I was the only one, that nobody could know about this because I'm so vile and decrepit and wretched. But I became... So they started to share their stories in the small group, and as they're sharing, I then shared, and it was the first time I ever shared my story. It was the worst day of my life, but also the best day, excluding marriage and kids.
Right.
Because now the darkness finally exposed into the light.
Finally came clean.
Finally, yeah. But it was, and so drastically my mind went from, I just needed a pill, to, oh my God, I'm such a wretched man and such a sinner. Where do we go from here?
Yeah. Man, so like you said, worst day but best day, all in one. Share your story. And at this time, did your wife know? Like,
No.
Did this then empower you to then go home and tell your wife, being that you just shared it with a bunch of men, or did you still keep it clean or keep it a secret?
Yeah, let me tell one more thing that happened at that conference, and then I'll get to your question, if that's okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Another best day of my life came about 3 days later. This was a Christian organization. I'm obviously not following Christianity because I'm a backslider. I'm going to hell.
Yeah.
And so they're singing and dancing, and I'm there with my arms crossed. I can't do this. Mm-hmm. This God hates me. He wants nothing to do with me. And I hear in my mind, and now I know it's the Holy Spirit, but at the time I didn't. It says, why are you still crucifying me? And I knew from my upbringing that Jesus had died for my sins.
Yeah.
Why are you still crucifying me? And it was like, in essence, what I was saying, your death, you did get killed, but it wasn't good enough for me because I'm too bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm not accepting your sacrifice. So I'm
you
just...
did, yeah.
And I was viewing him like most men, we view our God as what we get through our fathers. So I viewed God as this authoritarian God that when I was good, I was great. And when I was bad, I wasn't worthy. And so I said, okay, God, let me get this straight. You want to take me as I am? You want me to give you my sins and give them to you? I would go to confession and all that, and boom, and I would go right back into my behavior. So the only way that God could love me is by me being good. Mm-hmm. Performance. I'm going to prove myself to God that I'm worthy of his love. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, God, I'm a thief. I'm an adulterer. I'm a liar. I'm an abuser, not physically, but mentally. Yeah. Everything you've given me, I've destroyed. Instant gratification. I'm selfish. I'm angry. I have no forgiveness in my heart. Mm-hmm. And I confessed. And I asked for forgiveness. And then I forgave myself.
Was this by yourself in the car, at home?
In the conference as they're worshiping.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So during the conference, at the end of the conference.
About the next day, next to last day, yeah.
2-day conference, 3-day conference? 4-day conference.
Yeah.
At the end of the conference, you finally gave it up. You finally just said, all right, that's okay.
Yeah. And at the conference, they gave us a battle plan of how to live a sober life. Mm-hmm. And so that was July 14th of 2004.
Okay.
And I've been living that life for the last 20 years.
No way. Wow.
So to fast forward to your question, I go home and there's Linda there. Mm-hmm. And I looked at her and I said, I don't blame you if you leave me. I don't deserve you. I have been a horrible husband, a horrible father, and I am a wretched man. But from this day forward, all I'm going to do is try to love you to become the man of God that you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I had no idea whether... And she didn't want to know details, but content. And she'd already known, but she didn't know the monster that I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her that, and she said, well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
So, and I remember you saying that you were going to wait for your daughter to graduate. I'm assuming she graduated that summer then?
No.
In 04? Or was she going to graduate the following year?
No, I think she was probably 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just because you said that, Linda had said you guys were basically going to separate then after that. So she was just basically like, we'll see if you're telling the truth, or we'll see.
Right. Because she really had no idea of how decrepit and bad I was.
Severe it was.
But she did know how I treated everybody.
Yeah.
And the kind of man I had become.
Okay.
Right.
So, did you get connected with, well, first of all, did your work and all that, because I remember you saying, like, it was going to be the end. So, did your work and everything and all that, did that all come crashing down kind of like you thought? You told your wife, you told other guys, now are you kind of...
I'm heavily involved in now trying to live a sober life.
Yeah.
And getting connected to God. Right away,
Uh-huh.
I got connected to a small group.
Okay.
Right away, I had accountability with those men for like 4 years.
Okay.
That we would be accountable to each other for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew if I went back to my behavior, I was done.
Yeah.
So I had to have a radical transformation.
Mm-hmm.
I got involved at Northway Christian Community Church.
Okay.
I got involved in small groups. I went back to, I recommitted my life to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started the pathway of restoration and healing in order to live the life. And so at that time, the business was going well. It was 2001 where everybody had quit and came back. But, I was starting to build the business.
Okay.
3 months after I recommitted my life to the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and they had floods in Millville and Etna and Carnegie,
Okay.
and our business was gone.
Okay.
3 months after I recommitted to the Lord, just wiped it out.
Wiped out the business.
Yeah, but I remember I was on TV, and I remember saying, they interviewed, because I said, I don't know why this happened, but God is bigger than this, and He will see us through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started to weep, and I called Linda. It's all gone, but God restored it. But what He showed me is the business was an idol, because He took it away just like that.
Just like that, yeah.
Yeah. And we rebuilt, and President Bush was actually on our street because it was Hurricane Ivan.
Yeah.
Who would have thought a hurricane would cause devastating floods in
Pittsburgh?
Yeah. And so the business kept growing.
Okay.
And growing, and now I'm a Christian businessman.
Yeah.
And so I'm still the same leadership style, but now it's God-centered and not Greg-centered. Mm-hmm. And so, we continued to grow, and then through that time, my boys had started to come in management and kept growing and growing and growing and growing.
Did your sons ever find out?
Oh, yeah.
So they found out?
Oh, yeah, I confessed right away.
To your kids and everything like that? Because this was after your son had said what he said to you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I and it was a bone of contention because, what do you tell? You want to tell your kid, but, oh, yeah, I've been transparent, open, and honest with them ever since. You have to be.
Yeah.
You have to get those things. They have to know that their dad is flawed. Mm-hmm. And so I caused a ton of father wounds in them because of my behavior that we've been able to work through in the last 20 years.
So then, your business is wiped out, but you were able to rebuild it, though, after that then, by the grace of God.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you're a Christian business owner.
Yeah, and I'm starting to get involved in serving leaders, going to all kinds of different Christian functions because now I'm a Christian businessman. So I started to accumulate a lot of friends, Christians. Before I didn't have any friends.
Yeah.
But now just doing life together, being accountable from a business side, from a personal side, and just life is good because things are growing and I'm starting to get connected. My leadership skills are now I'm leading, but in transparency, truth, and honesty, I'm sharing my story. Mm-hmm. I'm running men's purity groups now too. Mm-hmm. The men that are trapped, and I still do that. 20 years later. Men that, and what I love is when a man comes to me and he's just completely devastated and he has no hope, and I just look at him and smile.
Yeah.
If he sticks with it and turns his life over to God, there is hope and there is restoration.
Hmm.
So I've been in men's ministry or discipleship for the last 20 years, starting with that.
Okay.
Business is great. 2014, had a fire and we lost everything.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Well, there's more. Depending on how much time we have.
I was like, okay, flood happened,
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Fire, February of 2014. And
a fire came.
yeah,
and
in our building, it sparked from the ceiling hit event. Yeah, Millville. Yeah, and it just blew up, and it's like, you gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
I'm a Christian businessman, and things are going well, and and then just boom, gone. And if you have a choice between a flood and a fire, take the flood, because everything washes away. Fire, it's sticky and it's dirty. And but same thing. Fire company or the TV comes down, interviews me, and they say, "Hey, this isn't the first time, is it?" I says, "No. 10 years ago." And I said, I don't know why God did this, but he's bigger than this. Yeah. And it's almost like deja vu. And I said, what's next?
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't have said that, because from 2014 to 2024, the what's next isn't what I wanted.
Really?
Yeah, but we rebuilt again. But this time it's a little harder because insurance covered, not replacement costs, but just so now I'm going back into debt because I have to replace a ton of my stuff.
Huh.
And then so we rebuilt.
In 2014.
Yeah, and got back on our feet.
Were you the one when I was on the phone with you talking about coming on the podcast? I think you were the guy that said my life could be like the story of Job. Is that where you...
Yeah.
And just...
Yeah, but when I say
aspects,
that... Yeah, because he hasn't taken my kids.
Yeah, no,
but... What I like about Job, he said at the beginning, why was I even born?
Right. Yeah.
And then at the end he says, I thought I knew you, but now I really do.
Yeah.
So now years later, I do really know God, but through those time, it's like, are you kidding me?
Right. Yeah. All I'm just as you're talking, it connected the dots up because I started thinking, I'm like, man, this sounds like.
Well, there's more.
Like
there's more.
Yeah, really.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'll try to stop interrupting you. So 2014, you rebuilt. You said. Still in Millvale, same location.
Yeah.
Your sons are working for you.
Yeah. Growing and dream house, Lexus, BMW.
Things are going well.
Vacations, paying for college, paying for weddings.
Yeah.
Giving away a lot of money because I'm the rich uncle. Having all the parties at our house because my wife is an entertainer and she loves to entertain.
And you're still clean at this point, leading small groups.
Yeah.
Keep going.
But I still have idols that I didn't know.
Yeah.
The business is still an idol.
Okay.
But it's comfortable now, right?
Yeah.
When I was Sears starts to lose stores and go bankrupt, right? Sears. Mm-hmm. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, I know.
But
Craftsman.
Yeah, but certainly God, we've survived floods and fires, and also I had a friend steal $80,000 from me from a payroll company too. Yeah, man. So we survived that, and certainly God, this is your business. I'm your business owner. Mm-hmm. You're going to save this business.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, I fought to keep the business going. Mm-hmm. I mortgaged our dream home, all my credit cards, everything, because certainly God is not going to let this business fail. Mm-hmm. And for those 3 years, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. How are we going to pay? Where's all the money coming from? I was just totally consumed. Because
of the debt?
Yeah. Credit, and guys, how am I going to pay my people? Mm-hmm. But somehow God was going to fix this. Twice we had banks willing to give me everything I need to get me out of it. On the day of closing, they pulled out. Twice. So I'm putting all my hope and all my energy in what I'm doing to save the business. It's all about me, all about my efforts. Networking across the whole city. Hey, it's Sears, but it's my it's my business. So we're still in business, right?
Yeah.
Thinking it's my effort that's going to save the business. Finally, in 2019, I go to Northway, and at this point, I had filed preliminary bankruptcy to just try to get reorganized so you can come out of it. But it was getting worse. It was getting worse. So in 2019, I go to Northway, and they're having a healing service, right? Great. I'm going to ask for my finances to get healed. So they call at the end, they call people and they say, hey, anybody that has physical ailments, come up. And I'm like, man, that sucks. I want financial healing, right? So I remember watching all the people going up, and I said, oh, man, before I know it, a trickle of a tear hits me. And a couple minutes later, I'm sobbing uncontrollably. Sobbing. Because my comfortable life and everything that I know is being taken from me, and I have no idea where I'm going. Just like in 2004, I'm sobbing uncontrollably because the life that now it's a comfortable life that's gone, and it's like, this isn't fair. So I composed myself. People all around me started to pray, and I got good. And then as people are starting to trickle out, it gets worse, and I'm wailing. Men don't do that. Men don't wail. Plus, you don't go bankruptcy because you're a loser, right?
Yeah.
And how do you tell your wife you're going to lose everything? You know, I'm strong. I can do it, but then...
Sorry to pause. Was your marriage and everything was good now?
Yeah.
I mean,
we still had many issues and many problems that I brought into the marriage, but
way better than what it was.
Learning how to love her unconditionally, which I still need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took
Same.
her, I think it took her about 8 years for her to tell me that she trusted me.
Okay.
About 8 years.
Earn her trust again, yeah.
But that was an everyday thing.
Yeah.
She saw the change in me.
Yeah.
You know, before I was all nothing but words, but she saw the change in me. Yeah, and we're going to celebrate 42 years this year.
Wow, that's amazing.
She's incredible. This same woman that I was upset with is my best friend.
Wow.
But at the time, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So
you're wailing at church.
Yeah. And then Scott Stevens, the head pastor at the time in Northway, Greg, what's up? And they already knew that. They knew I was in trouble, but not to the extent I was. And this isn't fair. Why is this happening? I'm a Christian man. We're losing everything. I don't know what to do, you know.
Right.
And he said, okay, let's pray. And he prayed Philippians 4, 6, and 7. You know, do not be anxious about anything, but at everything by prayer and supplication. Let your requests be known to God. And then he said, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your heart and mind. And it's like, that's what I needed, the peace of God.
Yeah.
I didn't need a miracle in my finances. I needed God's peace.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, a friend said, Greg, it's time to give it up. And I did.
The whole business?
Yeah. Business, house, cars, most of my savings, you know.
Did you end up filing the official bankruptcy?
And personal, too.
Really?
Yeah, because I had put a ton of personal stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
How was your wife when you made that decision?
Well, I remember that October, I told her we could lose everything.
Yeah.
And she says, well, we'll get by. And it shocked me.
Because you probably thought that you'd be disappointed or failing or what, you know.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. I don't know your wife, but that speaks volumes to your wife.
Yeah, it's funny, though. I just recently, I hadn't gone back to that house for a while.
Yeah.
But it sold for $1 million.
No way.
And I was with our new president of who I work for, and he looked at me and he said, but you're such a richer man now. And I told Linda that. She said, yeah, but I'd still like to be in that house. Yeah, so through the transition, a friend told me about a position opening at Light of Life.
Okay.
Which was in operations.
Okay.
And I had been in operations all my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to put a resume together because I never had a resume. I started cleaning carpets with the same company to owning a business.
Yeah.
And during the transition, it was about 3 months, and then they hired me
Okay.
as the senior manager of operations.
Okay. At Light of Life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and this is after you had lost your cars, house, business.
Yeah.
You guys found a new place to live, I'm assuming.
Rent.
Okay, started renting someplace.
Yeah.
You get a job at Light of Life.
Yeah.
Which is great. Now you got income coming back in,
Right.
kind of a restart.
And great benefits.
Great benefits. What'd you
Yeah.
do for Light of Life?
I was in charge of the operations.
Sorry, you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time, they were also constructing 2 new buildings.
Okay.
And they said, hey, by the way, you're going to oversee this also.
Yeah. Okay.
So all the food, all the donations and huge responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found there is all the skills and talents that God had given me
Yeah.
in my business, I was able to transport there, and it was thriving.
Wow.
And 2 years later, after personal bankruptcy, we were able to purchase a new home.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, 2 years.
Wow. That's
2 years.
pretty quick.
That's God.
Yeah.
You had to reestablish your credit. You had to get a job. You had to get income. And plus, one thing that was helpful for me, we at least had a nice 401k and and bankruptcy can't touch that.
Okay.
So we still had, and we were able to use a lot of that money to get a house.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, and then I'm thinking, okay, well, you take a look with your financial analyst, what you have here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I can retire based on this at X amount of time.
Yeah. Okay. So you enjoyed working at Light of Life,
Yeah.
assuming for a little while, and
Serving in the ministry.
Yeah.
And then last February, they called me in and said, both the buildings were now done.
yeah.
Hey, man, we love you, but we've eliminated your position.
Oh man.
Yeah. Just crushed.
Yeah.
Absolutely devastated.
Jeez. So then where did you fall back on? I mean, at this point you were a strong Christian.
Yeah.
So now you're just like, what now, God? And you just bought a house.
That's the what's next. Remember in
What's
2014, the what's next
Yeah,
is
the what's next.
bankruptcy.
Jeez. Buy a home and then get laid off.
And boom. They had given me a decent severance to at least get by.
All right.
And as soon as it happened, I was numb.
Yeah.
And God said specifically to me, do not hold this offense against them. This is me. Right? I said, well, great. Okay, great.
Yeah.
What?
Love for you to show me.
Yeah, what? And I also had a part-time job at Christian Businessmen's Collaborative.
Okay.
Which is men's, it's a businessmen's group in Pittsburgh. It's pretty thriving.
Okay.
And I was actually had the next 3 days off because we're going down to a conference that day, But then they had let me go, but I still went to the conference.
Yeah.
And those men just poured into me like you wouldn't believe.
No way.
I needed that. How many men in this room have been fired? And they all put up their hand, because you get fired, it's like you're a loser and, your identity.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Turns out that was another item. My identity was in titles and prestige. I had a big title there and I did a lot.
Yeah.
But it was, a lot of it time is look at what Greg's doing again still.
Yeah.
And so I fasted for 3 days. And just said, okay, God, what? So I updated my resume, and I said, and my wife, she's been through so much. She actually looked at me and she said, you're 62 years old. Who's going to hire you? Right? I mean, that was that fear talking. Because we got a new house now. It's a third of our other house, but at least it's her home. Where she can call it a home and put flowers, things that... Why do it in a rental? And I says, I don't know, but God's got something for us. And so I network with all my friends and, hey, man, do I go back into ministry or do I go back into business? Because I have talents in both. And the ministry part was tough because they really hurt me. Really, really hurt me. But then I had a good friend said, listen, just don't let the actions of one organization skew you to where you could be.
Yeah.
So I put a resume together, but I didn't apply for anything.
Okay.
And I'm just, okay, God, what do you have? And then, where do you want me to go?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't urgent, but I'd still need, because we were going to run out of money at a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I get a call from Danny Parker and CLC, which is Christ-led Communities.
Mm-hmm.
I said, dude, we know your story. Your story is incredible.
Yeah.
We know your heart for men. We know how you disciple men. We know how you build groups. We know how you collaborate. We know you.
Mm-hmm.
God has prepared this position for you. I said, what's that position? They said, well, you disciple men and you build groups. And you mentor the leaders and you continue to do that, and it just grows. I says, really? I said, well, that's what I do already.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get paid.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's actually a job that does this.
Yeah, and they said, well, as far as getting paid, it's like you have to raise your own money.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh. Oh.
Yeah.
And and I'm going to be honest, I said, thanks, but no thanks.
Uh-huh.
I did not have the faith or trust at that point because I had just gotten let go. I have a brand new mortgage.
Yeah.
All my benefits are gone. I'm going to tell my wife, oh, hey, we're going to get this job and we're going to trust God to bring in money.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could have told you that I said yes in faith, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But then they said, yeah, we knew you were going to say that. So they decided they were going to fund me for a year.
No way.
To take away the worry.
Wow.
To take away the worry.
Yeah.
And I said to, and Linda and I talked, because if she wasn't comfortable with this, I wouldn't have taken it.
Uh-huh.
God had to change her heart.
Yeah.
Because she's, security. And she's seen the loss of so much and gone through that. And I said, okay. And she agreed. But here's, again, part of me that is still not all of me is God. Mm-hmm. I said, well, I'll take it for a year, and if it doesn't work out, I'll find another job, right? So here it is a year and a half later. And God is faithful, and I've seen what he's doing because of the groups and the direction and where God is leading me to share my story or talk about his faithfulness or seeing men's lives changed every single day in the groups that we're building. Huh. Because our groups aren't a regular Bible study. Our groups are equipping men who follow Jesus to live with a purpose and lead with impact. And we do that by transparency, trust, openness, honesty, studying the Word of God, and doing life with men.
Wow.
So that's currently where I'm at now.
Wow, that's amazing. Tell the audience and me what a group. What does it look like? So let's say there's a guy that's been listening to your story. He's impacted. He wants to join for whatever reason, name it under the sun. But what does that look like then for a guy in Pittsburgh? Well, first of all, you told me it's a national organization, I think too, right? So it's not just in Pittsburgh, it's in other cities. Yeah. But what does that look like for a guy that wants to join and start?
Yeah, well, we have like 4 different curriculum. I say curriculum, but the curriculum is just as a guide. It's led by the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And and I hate to say this, but originally it was 2-year all in. Okay? You're going to walk with a guy for 2 years. Okay. And you're going to study on how to be a disciple and a man of God for 2 years, high intensity. I think it was $400 for all the material. But you're committing your life for 2 years to walk. Jesus discipled for 3 years. Yeah. We're asking for 2, where you're doing hardcore study, learning how to witness, fasting, learning how to pray, learning how to read the Bible, learning how to love your wife, learning how to be a better boss, 2 years. And that's how it started out. Mm-hmm. And it would take a long time to get a guy to commit to 2 years. Yeah. They don't even know what they're going to do the next day. Next week. So, and in fact, I was in one of those about 8 years ago. Okay. And it impacted my life tremendously.
Mm-hmm. You committed to 2
years?
Yeah,
2 years. Yeah. So what we have now is we have that program,
Okay.
and I just recently got involved in one at Orchard Hill Church, and already I'm seeing incredible impact with the guys that have committed. But you have to be committed and really want it.
Yeah.
So what we also have, and when I said I hate to say this, but what's happening is it's almost like, here, at least take a look at it.
Yeah.
And then if you want to commit, great. So when I say I hate, that's probably the wrong word, but you would wish you would have a guy that would just say, yeah, man, I'm all in, I want to do it. But you don't have that nowadays. So what you have is called a getting real, which is the all in, but at an abbreviated version, but it's the same thing. The very first thing we do is we share our stories.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, we share our stories. And you can be as transparent as you want or not. What you'll find is when a guy starts hearing everybody sharing, just like when I went to Every Man's Battle, it opens them up. And you have these incredible guys that have lived behind these walls forever that now they're starting to crumble. And normally about 10 weeks to 12 weeks, they're really comfortable because we've earned their trust. But we start with our story. And then after that, we have curriculum where you're studying the grace of God, the love of God, the anger. You know, you're starting to study direct aspects of God, and then you get together, and what did the Holy Spirit tell you that week? And you're asking tough questions. Who haven't you forgiven?
Yeah.
What are some of the wounds in your heart? Who are you still angry with? Tough questions.
Yeah.
Not, let's look at Romans 8 and what, I mean, there's biblical study is great, but what is this? What is the word telling you, and what is inside your heart, and what wounds are being exposed? So you're walking with these men, and it's confidential, and you're starting to see fruit of these men that are starting to understand how to really receive God's love because they hadn't been able to receive God's love. So we have that program. It could go from 3 months to 9 months.
Okay.
And then after that, we have what's called a next steps.
Once a week for 3
Yeah.
months? Once a week? Okay.
Yeah, once a week with homework, as you call it.
Okay.
And then you get together, and instead of saying, okay, let's go to day one, question one, it's like, hey, Jim, what did God tell you this week?
Yeah.
Sometime we might spend the whole time on one question. And then 95% of the groups that start the 3 months, they go 9 months because there's curriculum that continues.
Yeah.
And then after that, we have what's called a next steps, which is a year program.
Okay.
And then we have a 2-year program.
So basically, it sounds like to kind of get, like you said, most guys can't commit to even doing something like tomorrow or
Yeah.
next week. So it sounds like it just kind of gets them in the door,
Yeah.
gets them to share their story. Once
Yeah.
they realize, oh, wow, there's a lot of other guys like me.
Yeah.
Then they get a taste, and then they start to enjoy it, and
Yeah.
then they start to be impacted.
Yeah.
Seems like they go 3-month program, then they get the hang of it, and then, which is actually probably pretty cool, because then they probably start not only impacting their families, but then they start probably impacting other people's lives, and maybe possibly even discipling others. Or
Well, we have 5 values. First, it's Christ compelled, biblically anchored, long-term discipleship, relationally driven, and exponential impact. Because what we're doing is we're pouring into them to save that man, to save his family,
Yeah.
to impact generations.
wow,
I'm seeing that in my family because my dad was a sex addict, and so it's the generational sin stops with me, and now I have my sons and I have my grandsons. So there's an exponential impact. And we have, I have a neighborhood group, and some of these guys, they're elders in churches, but they've never done anything like this.
Yeah.
And wives are talking among other wives and trying to get their husbands to come into our group because something's changed about that man. Ultimately, our goal is to disciple that man to become a disciple maker. And so I believe that my story and everything I've gone through is to put me where I'm at now because I have a love and a heart to disciple men and to share story and to share the transformation and love of Jesus. We spend time with a man. We earn his trust. And then there's transparency and then transformation. And some of the stories that you hear in some of these groups, it's just like, wow, God, you are so good. Because he brings the people to the place where they need to be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. I have there's a couple other questions I have. I'm just trying to figure out which way to go. First of all, your story, your testimony. I have a friend of mine that called me a couple years ago, and very similar to what you went through.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Yeah.
He was exposed, and people found out, and his whole marriage was at risk of crumbling. And he called me, and in tears, and I, by the grace of God, it was an honor to be able to say, hey, you want to repent right now before the Lord and ask the Lord to forgive you your sins and come into your heart, and he did, and it's amazing. It hasn't been easy for him, but it's amazing to see that his family's still there, and he's healed, and he's in the process of being, continually being sanctified and living his life for the Lord. So first of all, just hearing your story, I know somebody who also kind of went through that, and I think it's just extremely powerful by you sharing this on this podcast, because I feel like it could get other guys who are maybe living in secret sin like that to just come to the light, And something else that you shared in this podcast, you said about how you used to have no friends, and your friends was making money, and then you went to that conference, and then your life turned around, and then all of a sudden you had friends. And as you were talking, it was, in the Bible where it says the devil prowls around like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. I've always pictured that as, when it comes to men and guys, husbands, leaders, fathers, when we try to do our life by ourselves, right, and we're on our own, your prime territory, your prime time for the devil, the lion, to come and try to devour you, And it was just interesting hearing your story of you came to the light, you shared with other men, all of a sudden now you're exposed, but now you're supported by other men, and now you get to flourish and walk with the Lord and things like that. So those are just two things I was just kind of thinking about as you were talking and sharing your story. So
Yeah, and another, when you're talking about secrets and walls, it doesn't necessarily have to be porn. It could be anything.
Yeah.
I want to share a story of something that really impacted me. When I was 60 years old, I was still at Light of Life. What do you want to do? I said, let's go whitewater rafting. I hadn't been doing that, and I'm a guy and I'm adventurous, and so second set of rapids, I fall out, and I plunge down, and I'm stuck under the water. I'm stuck, and was like, it happened so fast. One thing I know, and the first 15 seconds, I'm crying because I'm dead. And I'm crying because the last conversation I had with Linda was an argument. And that's how she's going to remember me by. I got triggered or something. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. It's taken me 42 years, but I'm getting better.
Yeah.
And so the next 15 or 20 seconds, I'm trying to assess the situation, because I'm like, and so I'm under the water. It's pushing me forward, and it's raging. I have a floaty that's pulling me up top. So I'm like this, and I can't get to whatever is hindering me.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's like, oh my, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And so I start to try to hold my breath and take, and so after that, I quit flailing, and I lift up my hands. I lift them up, and I look up, and I see brilliant sunshine, trees. It's like I can almost hear the birds, but I can't get there. I see the light, but I can't get there. So I said to God, I said, man, I don't want to die. But if it's my time, take me. At that point, whatever, an angel or whatever, but put me up. So as later that day, as I'm reflecting on, I was that close to death. And I'm not, how can I use this story? And it hit me. That was a physical stronghold that I had no chance of survival unless God took it.
Intervened.
How many men are stuck in spiritual strongholds and sin that they can't get to the light? Start talking about that, Greg. Their anger, their bitterness, their shame, their guilt, their entitlement. Why can't we get to the light? Because we have these strongholds that bind us, because Satan's killing us, and he's telling you're never going to change. Oh, this won't hurt, or you don't need that, continually. So part of my speaking engagements and when I talk to guys is that it's your anger, especially when you're working the steps.
Yeah.
You understand it's all about your wounds. What kind of wounds are in there that God wants to heal? And one by one, for the last 20 years, he's pointing them all out. Sometimes he's had to eliminate my position. He's had to take away my finances. He's had to cause some tremendous areas in my heart where I had to look at how I was treating my wife. All those areas. And the more that you understand, we all have those spiritual strongholds that Satan is trying to destroy us, that we have no power. It's in spiritual realms, but we try to fight him in the flesh.
Wrestle not with flesh and blood.
Like I tried to save my business in the flesh.
Yeah.
And so as men, we have to understand, and that's why you need to be in groups and you need to be around men, be able to point out stuff that are blind spots to you that you might not be able to see.
Yeah. That's a pretty powerful story there. I wasn't expecting that story as well. Man, oh man, you've been through quite a bit, like you said.
Yeah.
But
I'm a richer man for it.
You
right?
are a richer man for it.
One day I was meeting with a guy, and he said to me, "Greg, do you realize you're free?" I says, "Huh? I don't have any nasty emails.
Yeah.
I don't have any customers. I don't have any quota of groups that I have to make. I can go throughout my day wherever God leads me. I can seek him continually every day." It's like, yeah, I am free.
And you don't have any hidden addictions that nobody knows about either.
No. Well, one thing that God has shown me in this process, in this job, is I'm still very outcome based.
Yeah.
I need to reach this many people to start this many groups.
Right, yeah.
I need to call this many people, or I need to ask this many for guys to give me money. When I say give me money,
Fund, yeah.
And it's like, I still have that in me. It's still a stronghold. It's up to me.
Yeah.
As opposed to, it says in Psalm 127:1, unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain. Unless God keeps over the watchman. Why do you struggle and toil for day and night when God grants you rest? So that's probably, it's not secret, like you said, but it's something that God's really working on me now.
Yeah. Wow. Well, before I wrap it up, one last thing. So if you were to try to plug CLC, your groups, if you were to address guys here in Pittsburgh and anywhere, what would you say to the everyday man who's either unsaved, or number two, he once was saved and gave his heart to the Lord, but he has fallen away? Yeah. How would you plug that organization? Because I think what you're doing is incredible, and I think it's amazing, and I think every guy should be connected with a group, so that we can live steadfast lives and be steadfast in our faith. But if you can just kind of plug that, or what would you say to any guy? Go ahead.
Well, an easy plug is November 5th, we're having a gala.
Okay.
We're having a celebration. It's a dinner celebration.
Okay, perfect.
Where we're going to have vision and sharing stories. We're going to have a lot of men that were in past groups, men that are in current groups. We're going to share where we're at. And we're going to have incredible video testimonies of men's lives that have changed. It's impactful.
Awesome.
It's also a fundraiser.
Okay.
But that's November 5th, and I can give you a flyer for that.
Okay, and then maybe I can put it in. I'll put it in the show notes and stuff like that. November 5th in Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, at the Harmony Steam Fitters Event Center, right off of 79.
Okay, all right.
And that's been a vision of mine, to like rebirth CLC, for guys to say, hey, because what I want the city of Pittsburgh to think of is when they think of men's discipleship, that CLC comes to their mind. And if it's not CLC, get involved in other men's discipleship groups.
Right.
I don't care what they get involved in. There's churches have a lot of good programs, but what happens is a lot of these small groups are 6 to 8 weeks, and then it's gone. So what I would say to that man is, where are you at now, and what's going to change, and what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
And in terms of CLC here, I'd love to just do coffee with somebody.
Okay.
Just meet me. Just
Okay.
talk to me and share. All I do is I throw out seeds.
Okay.
And then God eventually will find a leader for that group, and I'll mentor that leader, and then they'll bring in guys. So I just throw out, you and I met. We've never met before.
Yeah.
So wherever God takes it, but just throwing out a seed that you don't have to live where you're at. You don't have to continually wake up in stress and heartache and control. That God has a greater plan from you, but it starts with being transparent, vulnerable, open, and honest about where you're really at. Where you're really at.
That's the first step.
Yeah, when Adam sinned, God says, "Hey, where are you?" Right?
Yep.
He didn't say, "Where are you?" He missed his fellowship. He knew where he was, and what did he say? Well, he's hidden in shame. And so many guys are like that, but you wouldn't know it. Because I was one of those guys.
Yeah.
I was a poser. Right?
Good actors.
Yeah, heck yeah. And when you start to really see the impact that Jesus can have on your life and in your heart, you start to see tangible change in you. But it's hard. Because what he calls us to give up our life, that give up our toys, give up our pride, our anger, our identity, and it comes at a cost, right? But the rewards are eternal. It's a hard life, but it's a rewarding life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I give them my contact information. I would just love to meet guys and just talk, and whether they get in a group or not.
Yeah.
That's really the goal, is just to plant a seed to see where God's going to take him on a journey.
Yeah.
Maybe a CLC group is the final start for them, or maybe it's just a start for them to even be accountable to one guy, right? That's what I was for 4 years. Every single week, hey, did you act? And it started out in pride, because if they can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
But then it started out in obedience to God, because you know how much he loves you, and you want to honor him.
I feel like this episode is going to bless a lot of guys. That's just my opinion. So, Greg, thank you so much for coming on here, being willing to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's going to bless a lot of guys and help connect a lot of guys to the body of Christ, because that's another one of my goals for this show, is to connect guys out there to the body of Christ and with other men, so that we can continue to be held accountable and live in transparency and live a life of faith. So,
well, what's really a shame is in most churches, the women run the churches now. We're called to be the head of the household. Your wife wants you to be the spiritual leader.
Yeah.
And when you're not, they pick up the slack.
Yeah.
Just like my wife did. And I'm not saying she did a bad job, but that's not her role.
Yeah. And in my that's so interesting you say that, because then in my opinion, it's like they'll pick up whatever slack they need, to keep running with it. And it's like, I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Guys need to start leading again, especially in the church and in their families.
Because you can see the evil prevailing, and Charlie Kirk's whole mantra was family.
Amen.
And we're supposed to become one flesh. But if that man is not one with God, he can't become one. And so you've got to. What happens is, like when men are, when they come in and they've got caught by their wives. This is in sexual purity, right? And they've gotten caught, or they've lost their job, or whatever's happened. I asked them a question. I said, "Are you here to save your marriage, and are you here to get well?" A lot of them say they're just here to save their marriage.
That's their only motivation.
Yeah, but that's wrong, because you have to save yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to do the deep work. Let God do search me, O God, and know my heart and reveal those things into me. Give me a clean heart, renew a right spirit within me. All that, you have to know that first before you can lead. And that's hopefully what they hear from my story and also CLC and other men's discipleship groups.
That's a lot of wisdom right there.
Well, it's by constantly seeking God and by constantly exposing all my wounds and my trials and my, I had to make things right with my mother, so many things. I had to go to my dad's grave and ask for forgiveness because the stuff you hang on to, it just festers.
Wow.
So you learn all that.
Yeah.
That the compartmentalize areas of your body you got to get rid of, and it's got to be transparent. Yep.
That's why the Bible says, above all else, guard your heart, from out of it flow the issues of life. One of my favorite
the
verses.
wellsprings of life.
Yeah.
And what's a wellspring? It's where it starts. Yep.
Wow. Well, thank you again, Greg. I'm sorry to cut this, but I'm going to put all the info, especially about the gala coming up in November. I'm going to put ways to reach out to Greg in the show notes. And then any other info that you share with me, I'll put in the show notes so that people can get connected with you in CLC. And
thank you. And I really love what you're doing. I really love what you're doing. You have
Appreciate
a heart
it.
to reach men, and God connects different people, because I think there's going to be a revival like we've never seen before, and it's going to start in your generation. I'm the Abraham, hopefully to pass some of my wisdom and experience down, but it's going to start. Oh, one other thing about CLC, we also have what's called elbow to elbow, where a guy like me will disciple a guy for like a year.
Okay.
I do that with about 6 guys.
Really?
Yeah. That's available too.
And that's like once a week or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever is available.
Okay, because that's another. Sorry to keep going with this, but I got to be careful of the batteries. But I see that in I guess our culture or our world today. You know, like for me, example. I have a men's Bible study I'm a part of, and I'm completely grateful for, and I love it. Yeah. And in addition to that, I also meet with a group of guys in the morning, sometimes for coffee, and we just do life together. It's accountability. It's amazing. But mixed in with that, I got my job, I got my family up there. We got the house to take care of. You're making sure you're loving your wife, and it's like, I see guys in their mid-30s just like me. They're trying to go through life. They're trying to balance. I was talking to a friend the other day. It's a balancing the plates. You have many plates, or it's balancing life, and you're trying to fit everything in. You're trying to do a good job and everything. But I think sometimes maybe in our culture, maybe with guys in my generation, like you said, sometimes maybe the faith plate or the Bible study plate or the church plate, whatever, take faith as a whole, that's kind of like the last on the priority list. Even though I believe it should be one of the highest on the priority list, God, family. So, I just think that's cool that you're able to be flexible. It's like you're reaching out, being like, hey guys, I'm Greg, I'm here in Pittsburgh, I'm willing to connect with you and elbow to elbow and do discipleship with you. And I pray that for every guy that they take that plate of faith and church and their relationship with God and kind of put it to a higher priority, because I believe, tell me what you think, I believe when you put faith in God and your relationship with the Lord first, all the other plates, well, Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. I feel like then all the other plates, they're easier to juggle. Tell me what you think on everything I just said with that, but thoughts.
So I'm a disciple in this one man, and he's constantly arguing with his wife, and constantly in fights, and constantly stressed at work. Yeah, and I know why, but he has to understand why, right? I can't tell him. So this happened Monday. He says, "You know what, Greg? First thing I do is I get up and I get ready and I go to work, and then I'm in a stressful environment for 8+ hours. Yeah. Then I go to the gym." Right, and and then I go home and I just want to compress, And then that's it. And then I might give God 5 minutes of my time. And he looked at me, he says, I got it wrong, don't I?
At least he realized it. You know?
But he has to realize that. And
Yeah.
it's as a result of him and I communicating and him seeing. And that's what I can spew all I want, but until God reveals it. And I just smiled. So then I started giving a couple scriptures to start meditating on throughout the day and looking at that. But yeah. We've got it all wrong because I live that life of the struggle and the pain and the toil, as it says in 127:1, right?
Yeah.
But also, as far as discipleship groups, elbow to elbow, it wouldn't necessarily be me because my plate is full. But we got plenty of guys
Okay.
that would want to lead other guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Connecting people to connect. And that's one of my gifts is connecting and collaborating. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I feel like is also a thing in the body of Christ. Lately, I've been talking with my one friend, James 3:16, where there's selfish ambition and envy, there you will find every other type of evil and chaos or disorder, some translations say. And it's like one of my friends we've been talking about lately, just the body of Christ, everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, and they just want to do their own thing. And it's like if they're not part of your church or they're not part of your they want no parts of you. And we're so tribal across the board. And it's like, sorry, go ahead.
That's what I love about it's not CLC or else. It's just get connected.
Yeah, you
don't have to be part of this huddle or this huddle. Just get connected.
Yeah.
Just do the things that we promote, which is the transparency, the
gospel.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I see that, and that's why a view of okay, and if it's not a CLC, that's okay. Maybe we can connect you to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed talking with you. I could probably talk to you for another hour, but I'm sorry, I do have to cut this. So
no.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time and your wisdom.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get connected with other guys that you know and just keep doing exactly what you just said. Keep collaborating, working together.
Yeah.
So
no problem.
I appreciate you. And everybody on YouTube and Spotify and podcast, thank you for watching. Continue to stay tuned to more episodes in the future. Thanks.